Anger is a powerful emotion, a brute force that we all experience at some point in our lives. It can be triggered by a variety of factors, such as frustration, injustice, fear, or even pain. But why do we feel so much anger? What is it about this emotion that seems so uncontrollable and, at the same time, so familiar? To understand anger, it is necessary to delve into its complexity, exploring not only its origins, but also the ways it affects us and how we can learn to deal with it. Firstly, anger is a natural response of the body and mind to perceived threats. It has deep evolutionary roots. When our ancestors lived in environments full of predators and dangers, anger arose as a form of defense. It was an emotion that prepared us to fight or flee, releasing hormones like adrenaline, which increased our strength and agility, preparing us to survive. In other words, anger is, in essence, a protective reaction. However, in modern times, where we no longer face the same physical threats, this reaction can seem disproportionate and out of context. Today, many of the situations that provoke anger are not directly related to our physical survival, but rather to emotional and psychological aspects. We feel anger when we feel disrespected, wronged, or misunderstood. It arises when we perceive that something important to us is being threatened, whether it is a relationship, a belief, or even our identity. Anger is, therefore, a form of response to a perception of vulnerability. When we feel that we are losing control of a situation, or that our boundaries are being crossed, anger comes into play as an attempt to reestablish that control. An interesting aspect of anger is that it often masks deeper emotions. We may feel anger, but behind it, there may be fear, sadness, or frustration. For example, someone who feels constantly ignored at their workplace may react with anger, but this anger may be a reflection of the fear of being irrelevant or the frustration of not being heard. This complexity makes anger a deceptive emotion, as it is easier to express anger than to deal with more vulnerable emotions. Moreover, there is a cultural component in the way we express and understand anger. In some cultures, anger is seen as an acceptable emotion, even encouraged in certain circumstances. In others, it is considered inappropriate or unworthy. This influences how we deal with it. In societies where anger is suppressed, it can build up to the point of explosion, while in others where the expression of anger is more open, it can be released in a more controlled manner. Either way, whether expressed or repressed, anger continues to play an important role in our emotional experience. However, anger is not just a destructive emotion. It also has a constructive side. Often, it is anger that drives us to act, to change an unjust situation, or to defend ourselves from abuse. Great social movements throughout history have been fueled by indignation and anger in the face of inequalities. Anger can be a motivating force, helping us seek justice and equality. The problem arises when this emotion is not channeled in a healthy way, turning into violence or destruction. This is where the importance of learning to deal with anger comes in. Although it is a natural emotion, and in many cases, justified, the way we express it can make all the difference. Often, we feel so much anger because we were not taught how to deal with it properly. Instead of recognizing and understanding our emotions, we often repress them or express them explosively. This creates a cycle of anger and guilt, which can be harmful both to ourselves and to those around us. A healthy approach to anger involves self-awareness. Recognizing when we are starting to feel angry is the first step to controlling it. When we can identify the early signs, increased heart rate, muscle tension. Heat in the face, we can take steps to calm our bodies and minds before the anger intensifies. Breathing techniques, meditation, and reflection are effective tools in this process. Moreover, it is crucial to question the underlying causes of anger. Asking yourself, why am I feeling this way? What is really bothering me? Can help us access the deeper emotions that anger is masking. Often, by exploring these deeper layers, we find old wounds or unresolved fears that need attention. Another important aspect is communication. Many times, we feel so much anger because we cannot adequately express our needs and frustrations. Learning to communicate our feelings clearly and assertively can prevent the buildup of anger. Instead of waiting until we explode, we can learn to say, "This bothers me," or "I don't feel respected," in a way that the other person understands our feelings without feeling attacked. Finally, it is important to remember that although anger is a powerful emotion, it does not define who we are. Feeling anger is normal, but what we do with this emotion is what really matters. By learning to recognize, understand, and channel anger in a healthy way, we can transform an emotion that is often seen as negative into a positive force for personal and social growth. In short, we feel so much anger because we are human, because we care, because we have emotional and psychological needs that, when unmet, provoke a visceral response. But anger does not have to be a destructive force. With self-awareness, reflection, and effective communication, we can learn to navigate this complex emotion and use it to promote change, both within ourselves and in the world around us.